There is a distinct psychology to those who spent their childhoods in the 1970s, a mentality shaped not by coddling, but by something far more potent, an environment of raw, unstructured freedom. But we need to correct a fundamental modern misconception. We equate better parenting with constant oversight and scheduled activities. The childhood of the 1970s disproves this entirely. Your mother's morning directive wasn't a complex itinerary. It was a simple, powerful command. Be home for dinner. That was the entirety of the plan. What happened in between those hours was entirely up to you and your friends. You built kingdoms in empty lots from scrap wood. You invented games with rules that changed by the minute. You negotiated conflicts, handled minor injuries, and solved problems because there was no adult moderator present. This wasn't neglect, it was a profound, unspoken trust. And modern neuroscience backs this up, showing that such self-directed play physically builds the brain's capacity for creativity, strategic planning, and flexible thinking. Now picture yourself pedaling through the neighborhood. You instantly knew which house had the dog that chased, which neighbor welcomed shortcuts, and when the mood of the older kids had shifted. You weren't paranoid. You were developing a refined, real-time risk assessment skill. Without a chaperone, you learned to read subtle social and environmental cues, a tone of voice, a parked car out of place, a certain look. This cultivated a hyper-aware social intelligence. You became adept at reading the room in a way that children who have every social interaction narrated for them often don't. Then the school day ended. You walked home alone, found the hidden key, and let yourself into a quiet house. That silence wasn't loneliness, it was the birthplace of capability. You made your own snack, started homework, or simply existed in your own space. This daily ritual wired into you a core belief: I can handle this. Psychologists call it an internal locus of control, the sense that your actions shape outcomes. For you, it was just the obvious truth of daily life. If you fell, you got up. If you broke it, you faced it. This self-reliance isn't a surface trait, it's woven into your very foundation. And then, inevitably, came the moment. You'd done everything expected of you and announced, I'm bored. The adult response was a masterpiece of brevity. Figure it out. No device was handed to you, no activity was scheduled. You were left with that restless, empty feeling. So you'd eventually go watch ants, organize baseball cards, or just daydream. You learned that boredom isn't a crisis, it's the prelude to invention. You built a tolerance for that low stimulation state, which scientists now link directly to heightened creativity and self-reflection. This ability to be comfortably uncomfortable shapes how you handle lines, waiting rooms, and uncertainty even today. This brings us to the physical world you inhabited. You climbed trees to dizzying heights, judging branch strength with your own hands. You rode bikes down steep hills, feeling pure speed. You built ramps that defied physics. Sometimes you got hurt, but through direct experience, you developed an internal gauge for danger. You learned the precise line between a thrilling risk and a foolish one. This wasn't being reckless, it was acquiring a calibrated sense of judgment through lived consequence. Wisdom was earned skin deep through scrapes and close calls. And then there were weekends with no plans. All your friends were busy and you were left with just yourself, and it was fine. You could spend a whole Saturday lost in a book, drawing, or taking a long, aimless bike ride. This solitude taught you a critical distinction. Being alone is not the same as being lonely. You found contentment in your own company, forging a deep comfort with your inner world that feels like a superpower in today's hyper-connected society. This capacity for fruitful solitude is a cornerstone of mental fortitude. Emotional challenges were navigated internally. If you had a fight at school or felt a sting of embarrassment, you couldn't instantly text for validation. The landline was busy. You retreated to your room, felt the anger or sadness fully, and waited for it to pass. This process wasn't repression, it was emotional processing. You learned that feelings are temporary states, not permanent identities.
You developed internal mechanisms for self-regulation because you had to. This created adults who don't need constant reassurance to stabilize their emotional weather. Then consider the rhythm of anticipation. Your favorite TV show came on once a week. If it ended on a cliffhanger, you waited 7 full days for resolution. A new toy required saving allowance. Christmas was magical precisely because it came once a year. Your brain was trained in the potent rhythm of delayed gratification. Modern life is built on immediacy, streaming, next-day delivery, instant answers. Your neural pathways were carved by patience. Research confirms that this ability to wait correlates with greater life stability and satisfaction. Failure was a frequent and frank teacher. You struck out in the big game. Your project didn't win. You didn't make the team. And there was no trophy for just showing up. No adult committee swooped in to reframe the loss. You felt the sting, and then you moved on. This repeated experience built a specific kind of resilience. You came to see failure not as a verdict on your worth, but as pure, actionable feedback. The question became, what do I try next, not why am I a failure? This self-reliance was essential for navigating the complex social ecosystem of childhood. No adults mediated your friendships. If someone didn't show up, you deduced why. If there was a conflict, you negotiated the peace. This forced you to become an expert in human nuance, reading micro-expressions, understanding subtext, and sensing group dynamics. You developed sophisticated social intelligence precisely because you weren't shielded from social complexity. Now, decades later, you might watch the next generation grapple with a challenge. Your instinct might be to fix it, but you often hold back. You understand that managed struggle builds genuine confidence. You might ask, "What's your plan?" instead of providing the answer. You prioritize capability over constant comfort because your own neural pathways were carved by that very principle. Resilience wasn't a lesson taught, but a truth lived. The psychology forged in the 70s is a powerful artifact. It's a quiet confidence, born from knowing you can navigate uncertainty because you've done it since you could walk. Your mind was strengthened by freedom, calibrated by risk, and deepened by solitude. In our overstructured, overstimulated world, this mentality is not just rare, it's an immense strength. If you recognize this psychology in yourself, you understand the incredible gift of that upbringing. And if you appreciate these insights into how a generation was shaped, please show some support. Give this video a like and subscribe to Winds of Thought for more explorations of the human experience. Thanks for watching.